Over the past few videos, you guys have noticed I've been using a specific program to run my virtual machines to create these videos. I'll tell you the reason why I don't use VirtualBox or VMware and resort to using qemu, KVM, plus a graphical front end called Virt-Manager. Hey everyone, it's Ilham and welcome back to my channel after a while. I had to take a break due to personal reasons, but I'm back. Today's video, as mentioned earlier, is about installing qemu, however you want to say it, KVM, and using a graphical front end to run it. Why KVM? Well, first of all, what does KVM stand for? KVM stands for Kernel-based virtual machines, and it uses hardware virtualization, resulting in VMs running almost as fast as running them on direct hardware. Granted, there will be a performance difference if you're running lower end hardware, but it's still, in my opinion, the most efficient means to run a virtual machine setup. Another reason is due to it being free and open source, easy to operate through a graphical interface like Virt-Manager, and is able to emulate numerous CPU architectures and other hardware like CPU architectures such as, let's say, x86-64, ARM, and the rest. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you're interested in learning more about its features. And of course, be sure to double check if your machine is able to run a kernel-based virtual machine, KVM, by running this command, lc_all equals to c, lscpu grep virtualization. As you can see, it does because I have an AMD processor, and yes, I finally upgraded laptops. Yay. Anyways, all the commands that I'll be running today shall be in the description down below as well. Today, as you can see, I'll be using Arch to install and showcase the system, but you can of course run it through any distro imaginable. So, without further ado, let's get to installing it. The packages I'll be installing today are Virt-Manager, which is the graphical front end, ebtables, Ethernet bridge software for Virt-Manager and, well, qemu, as well as qemu-full. So basically it installs everything needed. So I'll just run it using this Virt-Manager and ebtables. But of course, I won't really be running it because, well, I have them all installed. But you'll be installing them through your distro's means of installing. Upon installation, enable and start the libvirt and virtlogd daemons using a respective init system. For me, it'll be systemd, and so for me, it'll be sudo systemctl enable now, and it'll be libvirtd as well as virtlogd. Let's just do it. There we go. Actually, did not have virtlogd enabled. That's okay, interesting. Next, make sure your user, for me is obviously Ilham, but make sure that your user is in the libvirtd group. So for that, you would do sudo usermod -g libvirtd -a your user. Sorry, it was libvirt, not libvirtd. My fault. And finally, run this following command to ensure that you do not have to create or recreate a virtual machine every time that you open Virt-Manager, and that the network default actually starts upon libvirtd starting. So it'll be sudo virsh net-start and then default. For me, obviously, it's already active, and then run the same command but add auto before start. There you go. Now, let me open Virt-Manager. Virt-Manager might ask you to log in upon opening it, and so you might need a policy kit, POKIT for short, set up for that. If you have a fully functional desktop environment, you already have one built in. But if you're running a tiling window manager, like me for example, running Hyperland, you may have to set one up. For me, it's not asking for the password or anything, but in the future I'll have a video solely on POKITs, policy kits, whatever you want to call them. Now, let me show you how to create. Start a VM and everything else involved with it. Obviously, you need to have an ISO downloaded if you're setting up a fresh VM. For today, I'll be using the Arch Linux ISO. So what you do is hit File, New Virtual Machine, and then you have a few options here. Local media install, which is ISO image or CD-ROM. Network install, for obviously installing through the network. Importing an existing disk image, or a manual install. Obviously, importing a disk image is like, if you want to import an existing virtual machine for, from like, let's say, VirtualBox or VMware. Or select network install if you want to go through the network install process. Anyways, I'll be showing you how to do local install, and I'll show you how to import an existing disk image as well. So hit local install, hit forward, browse, and then wherever your ISO is stored. So what would you do? Just hit browse local, and then ignore this. But yeah, you basically browse local, and then all you have is like that. So obviously I'll be choosing Arch Linux. As you can see, it's automatically detecting that the OS is Arch. However, sometimes you may have to manually enter it because Virt-Manager may not always recognize it. So for example, let's say I want to do FreeBSD. It's not detecting anything, so I'll just type generic OS, because well, BSD is not in this option. Like, it will work, but it's not in that option, so just add it as a generic OS. But yeah, overall it should work. Automatically detect Arch Linux. Forward. Memory and CPU settings. So what's typically recommended is to put half your system into a virtual machine if you want to do something intensive. Like, typically that's what I do because obviously I'm recording, and I'm also using virtual machines for all the tutorials and all the videos. So I have 16 gigs of RAM. I'll put, let's say, like 8200 megabytes. And for CPUs, I have 16 threads available. I'll put like 8 cores. 8 threads. Because I have an 8-core processor, so 4 cores is for the virtual machine. Forward. Create a disk image. So you may be aware that VirtualBox and its extension ends with .vdi, and VMware and has a different extension call that ends with .vmdk. Similarly, a KVM has its extension ending in .qcal2. So it looks like this, .qcal2. It looks something like that. So let's create a disk image, but you can also obviously import one. But yeah, so let's create, and let's say I want to give it like 40 gigabytes, and let's say another like 500, so 40.5. So the 500 can go to EFI systems. Hit forward, and you can obviously name your VM whatever you want, like VM Arch Video or whatever, Arch Linux, whatever you want to call it. Just a VM. Let's just put just a VM. And then if you want to configure anything before you actually proceed with creating the virtual machine, you hit this, customize configuration before install. Hit finish. It's going to show up as this. So let's say you have a BIOS, you want to do a EFI install. What you do is just click here and select UEFI. Hit apply, and basically for 3D acceleration, so if you want your graphical interface to be smooth, what you do is you hit video VirtIO and always make sure that the model selected is VirtIO. This way, if you have a desktop environment or a window manager, whatever that requires video, basically, is always running smooth. Sometimes it defaults to VGA, but VirtIO with 3D acceleration is probably the smoothest, at least in my personal opinion. Alright, let's start it. So hit begin installation, create it, full screen, and as you can see, we're in here. Arch Linux install. And also, funnily enough, right now my system is prioritizing the host OS. So as you can see, yeah, right? So how to make it prioritize your VM so that your input does not get executed in your host OS. What you do is hit left control and then left alt together, and now as you can see, it's focusing in the VM. But yeah, that's basically how you set up your VM. Just run a regular installation, so like time dates, CTLs. You get the gist of things, and network should work as well. If we ping Google, there we go. Now, how do you import your existing VMs from, let's say you have a VM in Arch, but it was created through VirtualBox or VMware. Let me show you that, but first let me just turn this off and let me hit quit. Right, so what you would run is sudo qemu-img convert -f vdi. This is for the VirtualBox default extension. VMware has VMDK, but yeah, -f vdi, so that's targeting your VDI. And -0 and then qcow2, so you're telling it to convert the VDI file to qcow2 so that you can launch it through Virt-Manager, and then you select your file. So basically virtual machine location file name.vdi. This is how it'll look like wherever your location is, whatever file name it is, and then end it with your extension. So this is VirtualBox, this is VMware. VDI, and then you select your location for that. So it'll be var lib libvirt images, and then virtual machine name.qcow2. And of course, that's how your pre-existing virtual machines in VirtualBox, VMware, or what other software you use gets converted so that you can use it in KVM. And to import that new qcow2 file, all you would do is hit File, New Virtual Machine, then import existing disk image, forward, browse, and then that, and then go through the whole basic stuff. And yeah, that's basically about it for the video. In all my videos, I've been using qemu KVM with Virt-Manager due to its sheer performance and honestly, the simplicity it offers. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and stay tuned for the next one. I'm sorry if the video was not that high quality. I'm just getting back into it. It'll take me like a day or two to get used to it. But overall, I'll try to upload about a video or two a month. Maybe like bi-weekly or so. Maybe once a month. It all depends. But yeah, stay tuned for those videos. And until next time, have a wonderful day.